In this video, I want to have a look at mixed factorizations. So far we've looked at all different types of factorizing different types of algebraic expressions, depending on how many terms it has and what we can do with it. So there's a process if you just get a question that says factorize and you're not sure which method to use that we can work through. So the first step is that you always want to check whether there's a common factor first. So if there is, you take that out first and then you continue down the list. If not, we're just going to move on. So if our expression has two terms, we're going to check to see whether it is the difference of two squares and we can factorize that way. If our expression has three terms, we're going to see if it's a quadratic and factorize using any of the methods that you've learnt, so maybe PSF method. And if there's four terms, we're going to have a look and see if we can factorize it by grouping. So this is a handy little flowchart from the New Century textbook. So we take our expression and we always look to see if we can take out any common factors. And then what we do next is going to be determined by how many terms there are in our expression. So let's have a look at some examples. So I've got 4 examples here. For our first one, we have 2x squared minus 32. Now again, the first thing we always look for is a common factor. So in this one, we have a common factor of 2. So that's going to leave us with 2 outside of x squared minus 16. Now we're going to leave that 2 there and we're just going to have a look at what's still left in our brackets. So in this case, we've got an x squared minus 16, and we know that 16 is 4 squared. So we could write that as x squared minus 4 squared, which is the difference of 2 squares. So then that would factorize to x plus 4, x minus 4, and we've still got that 2 out the front. For question 2, we've got 5g squared plus 20. So again, first step is always look for that common factor. In this one, our common factor is going to be 5. And we're going to have that outside of g squared plus 4. And then we can have a look at what's left in that bracket. Even though 4 is a square number, because that's a plus in the middle, not a minus, it's not the difference of 2 squares. And in this question, that's as far as we can go. That is fully factorized. For our third question, oops, wrong button. For our third question, we've got 6m squared minus 21m minus 12. So again, the first thing we're going to look for is a common factor. In this one, we have a common factor of 3. So we're going to have 3 outside of 2m squared minus 7m minus 4. And now we can look at what's in the bracket and try and factorize that quadratic. So we're going to have 3, and then we're going to end up with 2 sets of brackets here. But to figure out what goes in those brackets, we're going to do the PSF method off to the side. So we know that with a non-monic quadratic, our product is going to be the multiple of the 2 and the minus 4. So we're going to need a product of minus 8 and a sum of minus 7. So our factors are going to be minus 8 and plus 1. So that means we're going to split that middle term into those two. So we're going to have 2m squared minus 8m plus m minus 4. And then I'm going to pull out factorize what's in the bracket by grouping. So I'm going to have 3 outside of. Now these first two terms, I've got a common factor of 2m, and that would leave me with m minus 4, And these last two don't have any common factors, but we've already got that m minus 4 there. So I'm just going to put those in brackets. And now I can pull out that m minus 4 as a common factor. And what I'm going to have left is a 2m plus 1. All right, so that's fully factorized. Now, if I hadn't pulled out the common factor right at the start, I could still factorize using this PSF method, but then one of my brackets I'd get at the end, one of those brackets, or maybe both of them, would end up having a common factor, and I'd have to pull that out at the end. So it's easier if you pull out the common factor at the start, because then you're working with smaller numbers the whole way through. All right, let's have a look at question 4. So we've got AB minus 2A plus 6B minus 12. So 4 terms, so we're going to have a look, first thing we check for is common factors, but there's no common factors in this one. So then because it's 4 terms, we're going to look and see if we can factorize by grouping. So these first 2 terms have a common factor of A, and the second 2 have a common factor of 6. So we're going to have A outside of B minus 2, plus 6 outside of B minus 2, and then that whole B minus 2 is our common factor. So we're going to have B minus 2 outside of A plus 6. All right, so that's having a look at mixed factorizations.